And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm today with a brand new video for tutorials of GS. Today's tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at Photoshop and how to create the dispersion effect, also known as the splatter effect, or the particle effect as well. We're going to be using the Liquify tool today. There are several ways of creating this effect. I believe before the Liquify tool is even implemented, you could make a duplicate of your subject, then move it to the left a bit, blur it out a bit, use a smudge tool, and then you could use different brush styles to basically draw white over it. And so it was a bit more complicated before the Liquify tool came, but now with the Liquify tool and with layer masking, it's very easy to do this. So I'm going to be showing you how to do it. And as you see here, I have an image here. It's not very big, it's not very large, it's not wide enough pretty much. And if you have a problem like this, then the best way to fix this is just to create a new image. Go up to File, go to New, and create a new image that's wider, and just drag this, copy and paste this, or just grab your Move tool and drag it into this image here, like so. And that's basically what I did. And then I used some smudge tool, the color picker, some brushes, and some clone stamping to get the same shade of white over here, because I noticed it's not the same shade of white. It's actually a little darker of a white. So I have this. So once you have an image where you have enough space to do this, we can go ahead and get started. First thing you want to do is your background layer right here. You want to go and duplicate it 2 times. So you can do this with Control J. If you don't want to do it with Control J, you can also right click, and you can accomplish the same thing by going to Duplicate Layer. Oops, that was the wrong one. Duplicate Layer here. And that will basically give you 3 layers, which is exactly what we need. Now in the middle layer, layer 1, what you want to do is grab your lasso tool and just draw a selection around the subject of your image. Doesn't have to be anything special, just a selection. Then right click in the middle of the selection, or anywhere inside the selection, and click Fill. Now for fill, you want to have content aware set for the first option. For the mode, have it set to normal, and for opacity at 100. Go ahead and press OK. And you'll notice that this will now create a basically a background that doesn't have the subject in the image, and is basically a white background, which is exactly what we need. After that, we can go up to Select and click Deselect. Now the next thing we want to do is the top layer here, not the background layer, but the second duplicate. We want to go ahead and render out our subject, so we have an alpha channel in the background. Now there are several ways of doing this. If you have a technique for rendering, go ahead and do that. You can use the lasso tool, you can use the magnetic lasso tool, you can use the pen tool, you can use the magic wand tool, the quick selection tool, you can use a mixture of them. I'm going to be using the magic wand tool because we actually have a pretty solid color here. The magic wand will do the trick just fine. So if you have a more abstract background, or different shades of blue or other shades of different colors, then you may want to use the quick selection tool. It's also very efficient as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. As you see, the magic wand tool makes a selection around the subject here, but unfortunately there may be some spots that are not in the selection, like right here. So we're going to go ahead and press Shift and click, and that will add it to the selection. Let's go ahead and go around and see if there's anything else we need to add. Right here, go ahead and press Shift and click, and that will add that to the selection. Anything else here? The hair seems to be done fairly well. So after that, if you have, if you're doing a girl especially, and she has like curly hair, or it's not straight hair where you see there's some white coming through the hair here, you're going to want to do Refine Edges. If you're okay with your selection, you don't need to do this step, but go up to Select and click Refine Edge. And you'll see that right now this is colored red. We want the outside to be red here though. So we actually missed a step. We need to go up to Select and Inverse, and that will invert the selection. Then go back to Select and click Refine Edge, and now it's exactly how it should look. Now if yours doesn't look like red here, then you just have to change the mode here, change it to red. That's what we want. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here, And what you want to do here is just the parts that the magic wand tool didn't get, go ahead and just color over it here, especially the hair here, and it'll fix it up. And that's good right there. Right there, fix that, fix that. Let's go ahead and fix that. And I think everywhere else did a pretty good job. Yeah, we're good here, we're good here. And we'll leave that. This right here and this space right here and this small space right here, we're actually gonna go ahead and fix when we have the render, because these are all closed inside of a bright red. So that's okay. Go and press OK. And then our selection will have updated. Now we're going to go ahead and right click our subject and then click layer via copy, and that will create a brand new layer. And if we uncheck these right now, you'll see we have an alpha channel with the cropped rendered image here. Now the next thing we want to do is get rid of the white space here, this light gray. So go ahead and grab your magic wand tool again, select an area, Control X to cut it out. And then we're going to come over here, area, Control X to cut it out. And then over here, select Control X to cut it out. And we basically have our complete render here. Now the next thing we want to do is duplicate this render. So Control J or right click duplicate. And now we should have 5 layers. Now from here on, what you want to do is grab the second layer, which is not the copy. It's not the copy layer. It's the original render, the one that we did not duplicate, or the one that we duplicated. The layer we duplicated, which is it should be the 4th layer going up. You want to go ahead and grab your move tool and just move it over slightly, maybe right around there. That's okay. I think that's fine. And then go up to filters and click Liquify. Now the point of Liquify here is, if you see, we're basically dragging stuff around, and that's what it's supposed to do. What you want to do, this will basically determine how large the effect will be or where you want the effect to happen. Now I recommend using a very large brush, 500 plus, 600 maybe, 400 I think is okay. And what you want to do is grab the bright colors of the clothing here and just drag it out to the sides here. You want to avoid skin because it'll look kind of weird when you do the effect. Obviously with the hand here, we have to include it. That shouldn't be a problem. You can use some of the hair as well. That should be okay. So just go ahead and do this. And like I said, you can use some of the hair, but that really shouldn't be the main focus. So once we have something like that, that should be okay. It doesn't really need to have any particular shape. We just need to have something to work with here. So I actually really don't like that. It's far too distorted. You try to make it not too distorted. It's obviously gonna get distorted, but if you can, I'm actually gonna redo that because I don't like that. Okay, so there we go. I kind of fixed it up a bit. At least the belt here isn't distorted as much, because we want to have part of the image which is visibly, you can tell it's part of the dress. So have something like this. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect though. I just like it like this. So press OK, and you'll have this basically, which is okay if it cuts off at the end here. It doesn't really matter. And what we're gonna do now is add some layer masks to both of these. So go ahead and click each of these layers, and at the bottom here, click Add Layer Mask, and right here, Add Layer Mask as well. But for this bottom one here, you want to use your bucket tool and make sure you have black and white as your foreground and your background. That's all we're going to need. We're only going to be using black and white anyway. So have black and white there. And with your bucket tool, which is in the same area as the gradient tool, just hold your mouse down. You'll see the bucket tool here. Use the black and just fill it in like so. That'll make everything disappear. You'll also notice that we now have a black layer mask instead of a white layer mask, and we have a white layer mask on the very top layer, which is okay. This is exactly what we want. The next step is you want to hide the middle layer here. So hide the middle layer, and you should still have 5 layers now. Now here's where you can get creative, and here's the fun part. Essentially, we have 2 layer masks, one to hide parts of the dress, and another one to bring parts of the dress back to life. So the black layer mask is going to be used to make parts of the dress appear, And whenever you see a black layer mask, you want to use white to draw on it. Whenever you see a white layer mask, you want to use black to draw on it. So think of opposites here. If you're on a black layer mask and you see that, you can even tell here because you see the little image here, the thumbnail. It has the dress extended, so you want to bring parts of the dress back. Always work on the layer masks, never work on the actual layers here, because it'll mess your image up, and if you make a mistake, you can't really undo it, or it'll be very hard to do it. It's also destructive editing, and we want to do non-destructive editing in Photoshop, so always work on your layer masks. So I'll show you an example real quick. If I go ahead and use white, we want to use white on the black layer mask, and I use a brush here, you'll see we're actually bringing parts of the dress back. If I were to use a white layer mask, we actually need to change the color to black here. We need to color black on white. You see we're taking part of the dress off. And that is essentially what we're trying to do. So some pointers for you. You might want to have a panel open here to have your brushes and your angles and your size and everything. You might want to have this open because it makes it a lot easier. Because the thing is, you want to make this look natural. You don't want to have the same pattern everywhere. You don't want to have something like this. You know, that looks very artificial and it doesn't look very natural. So you want to use different angles here. You'll notice here, this little tool right here allows you to change the angle of your brush. So for example, I could do something like that, and I can do something like that. That's okay. But to go even further, you want to use different brushes, and you want to use different sizes as well. So here you can change the size. Here you can change the angle. You can also make it thinner or thicker. And you can use any brush you want. I'm going to be using a splatter brush, but you can use a glitter brush, a sparkles brush. You can use some cloud brushes, some smoke brushes. It doesn't really matter, depending on how you want this to look, depending on what style you want. I'm going to be using splatter brushes though. If you want to use some splatter brushes, just type in Google Photoshop free splatter brush downloads, and I'm sure you'll get tons of results there that you can choose from. So that's pretty much all the tips I have for you. Just remember to use the correct colors on these layer masks. I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up because it can be kind of boring to watch. At least when it's sped up, you can see kind of what I'm doing. And I'll be back when I finish the little process here. Make sure you take your time, be a little patient, because you do want it to look good. And the more attention you have for detail here, and the slower you do it, the more patience you have, and the better you want to make it look. More time you take, it's going to look a lot better, rather than just rushing it. So there you have it. That's basically one way of doing it. There's many different ways you could do it. You could use like all small little circles, and you could put a bunch of circles here and make it look like circles are coming off of the dress all around. You can use little smoke effects to make it look like the dress is smoking, and basically parts of the dress are part of the smoke of the dress is over here, and then part of it is falling off here. With the proper brushes, you can pretty much create any effect. This is just a basic splatter effect, I guess you could say. It looks pretty magazine stylish, I guess. I added some text here just to make it look kind of cool. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial. Hopefully you learned something. Just be aware that there are many ways to do this. You don't need to follow this exact the way I'm doing it. You could use different brushes. You could use different angles. You can make it your own. Hopefully you've understood technique, because that's pretty much what I'm showing you here, just a technique on how to do it. Creativity is all up to you. Not the best presentation here. I'd obviously take a lot more time to do this if I were you. And any questions or comments, any feedback, go and leave it in the comment section below. I'll definitely be down there answering questions you have, answering any confusions you have. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. Plenty of other Photoshop tutorials on the channel right now. More coming in the future as well. And plenty of other software stuff on the channel too. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching as always. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helped you out in any way. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It'll really help me out. If you didn't like it, you can leave a comment as well, giving some feedback. If you have any other comments or questions, please leave them in the comments as well, and I'll do my best to answer them. I usually respond to comments within 24 to 48 hours, depending on your question and depending on how busy I am. I have plenty of other content on my channel about different software tutorials and how-to videos, so if you're interested in that type of stuff, check it out. And if you like what you're seeing, you can subscribe too. Really appreciate it. You can also check out my other channels and social media as shown on the screen right now. And with that, thank you so much, everyone. And this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.